very much.
Thank you. And the last one before the break is Jason Sumner Limited, Nectar Limited and Regent Limited, Philip Carter. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Leanne and councillors. So we are appearing on the issue of the vacant differential rate category charge that is proposed. We are appearing to say we don't support it at all. And the reasons we don't support it threefold particularly. The first is it disadvantages somebody who's trying to do a development on their site at the moment. So if somebody is in the process of a resource consent like we are for the Regent building, which just takes a lot of effort, a lot of money to get a resource consent in, that isn't carved out. So on that ground alone, we think that is wrong. However, we also think it doesn't get derelict buildings, which are one thing. So I understand the sentiment of it, but I think it is wrongly targeted. But I think the biggest reason is it is illegal in our opinion and in our barrister from Auckland's opinion. It's illegal because vacant sites do not benefit from council's activities more than developed sites. The council is unfairly and disproportionately targeting a small set of ratepayers. The council has failed to take into account mandatory statutory considerations, and the proposed rate differential is being used for an improper purpose. However, I would like to use this opportunity to widen the discussion slightly. I'm appearing here as somebody who is passionate about the city. I think Christchurch CBD is going to be the best city in this part of the world. And it seems to me that the group of people, there's only a handful of people now who are developing in the city. You've had the kind of the three waves. You've had the emotional wave of the insurance settlements. You've started to have or nearly finished the wave of the government projects, which were late, and you've had the residential wave. I'm not sure where the next wave comes, but you've got a group of people who are passionate about the city, and it seems like a you and us situation. We are doing some developments at the moment, and we caught with time. We've had a resource consent in for nearly 3 months. We've got to the end of May to confirm it, the agreement to bring tenants who aren't in the CBD into the CBD. The process is broken. I'm not criticising any individual. I think people in the council officers work really hard, but it's the restraints that are there, and it's the culture. So we've got that problem. For development, people need certainty. And the three areas of development are tenant demand, and we go out there and we try to find tenants. We're chasing one who's here on the 19th of May from an international tenant who you'll want in the CBD. We put a resource consent in over a month ago, heard nothing. That's for the central site, that you would really want this. It would make a big difference to the city, but I suspect they'll go elsewhere. But we've been chasing that tenant. I went over and saw him when there was a little gap in COVID, and we tried to get him, and now they're coming for the first time here. As I said, we've got tenants for that Regent site. It's going to fall over. But come back to the three drivers. There's the tenants, there's council process, and there is the latest one, which is now appearing as building cost increases, which I read in this morning's paper you all know about. So it's all those, and I just can't understand why the council can't group with the people who put the money in the city and try to work together. It's just them and our situation. I understand Richard Peeble's been here, and he'll be saying a similar thing. And it's time to take some leadership and do something so we get it all as a nice city. That's my presentation. Thank you.
It's deja vu all over again.
Sorry?
Deja vu all over again. It's just, it makes me weep to hear you, after all of the investment that you've made in the CBD, say that. we've had a partnership approvals approach in the CBD, so I'm going to ask the chief executive to get the team to reach out and see if we can push those along. But I think I just want you to explore the concept that we're trying to address here, which is not to force people into development when they're not ready, when they haven't got tenants, when they haven't got, budget, they haven't got the elements that you need to put together to make a successful development. But when the land is vacant, and I know that you have some, and I know that you've been very open to working with the council to find a solution for that, and it's probably the most challenging of sites in terms of what it looks like. But what we're trying to do is we've had council staff out there talking to landowners and working with them and getting really good results. So grotty little car park areas have now been developed with a nice edge to them, and and making the area look good. The site that leads into Cathedral Square opposite Spark, the owner of Spark now owns that site, and look what they've done. And these have been done in a working together collaborative way. And owners have put in a bit of resource, and we've put in a bit of resource to try and get that image right. There are some people that just won't talk to our staff, and so what do we do?
As I said earlier, I'm sympathetic to conceptually what you are trying to do. However, the devil in the detail of these things, we would like to carry on in sites we cannot develop at the moment because of either tenant demand to put car parks there.
Yeah.
You have to go get a resource consent for car parks. That's a really difficult process. The council makes it really hard. You should say, people want car parks, you can... there's not going to be that many car parks of bare land left if you get the Catholic Church thing done and you get some of these bigger blocks that are just in the inception of happening. But make it easier for them to get resort, put a timer, 2 years, 5 years, I don't care, and make them put landscaping in and sell it if they're using for a car park. But don't make the process so hard that they don't start it and they just fight you. I think the significant landowners, I talk to them. They are really wanting to work with you, but it's just keep getting uncertainty after uncertainty. If you take, I think it's change 14 that's just been promulgated by the council, another imposition on the city. I think there's a rule in there that 5% of the land has to be in tree cover. If you imagine the library having 5% of tree cover on the site, it wouldn't have worked. Now, why don't you talk to the people who are trying before you try to bring those rules in? It just doesn't make sense to me. It appears you have to read, I think it was 1,200 pages of that change.
So that's not just aligned.
No, I know it's just not that.
Not just aligned to residential.
Yeah. Some of it is the residential intensification, I understand, but the CBD is caught up in that.
Yes, but I thought it was only the residential.
No,
sites.
There's 5%. I understand from my planner. There's 5% for the CBD, 10% for the wider CBD, and then 20% for residential and 20% for roads and subdivisions. That's my understanding.
Well, that's.
But it's just the point. If we had a chat, we wouldn't have to be.
Me, so I've missed that.
Yeah.
The issue is around tree canopy, but in terms of commercial sites and the public realm in the CBD, that's a completely different issue. So I just think we need to just review that.
Yeah, have a look at that.
But we're going through a process. We're asking people for feedback, so please offer the feedback.
We are.
Because when we haven't notified yet, this is pre-notification.
Can I just make one other comment? I am sympathetic. The rate process is the wrong way.
Right.
It is illegal, and in my opinion, it's not the right. The Rating Act doesn't allow it. But the people will cooperate if you just try to give them some certainty. And we will anyway.
Right. I know, and the thing is that I know because we're talking to you, and we had Richard Peebles before, that you are willing to work with our team to make these things happen. It's completely different for others. Jake?
I think you kind of answered my question just in that last comment anyway, but I guess from what I'm hearing from you, you're saying, look, we don't mind if you want to work with the development community to tidy up some of these sites in the interim until the economic developments stack up to actually
I want you to work
realise
with them, and
properly.
I'd welcome it. I mean, we'd sit down and just try to find a way. And you have some
a good
really
message.
good council guys who try.
Good. And I mean, in this proposal, there is the provision here for active and consented use. So presumably, your development at Regent, the Regent development, and many others that are on that pathway, they're active, either in the consents process or about to be, wouldn't have a problem here.
That's not how I've read it anyway. It's not in the
Right.
It's
So perhaps we need to clarify.
But anyway, I still think it's illegal. But that's not how I've read that.
I
That's
understand
good
the legal
because
point.
The fundamental line in the sand that you're drawing.
I
so-
guess,
but
aside from the legality aspect, if, in principle, would you be more supportive if you knew that actually anyone that was in that process of either about to go through that consent process in the next couple of years or had genuine intentions to do so would be exempt?
and also people that invested in the beautification, for want of a better word, so that they make the site an acceptable site for
Would
the
that
community.
soften your view
yes,
on
but
it?
I still think you've got a fundamental issue with the legality. But be that as it may, of
Setting
course,
aside the
of course it softens it because people are trying to get developments, and
Yeah.
you have to do a process. You have to go find tenants. You have to do it concurrently with resource consent, and you need to work them together. So people are actively trying.
Totally get the frustration in terms of the resource consent and stuff as well. That's, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, thank you very much for making your submission today. We really appreciate the fact that you've done so, and please, I urge you to offer some feedback on the pre-notification on the district plan change
we
as
are.
well.
Yeah.
That will be very helpful to staff when they advise us next.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are now up to an adjournment and 2 minutes, no, 1 minute ahead of schedule. There you go. So we will reconvene at 2 p.m. Thank you very much.